Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today I decided to go back to some homeschool tutorials or homeschool advice, and I'm going to talk to you about homeschooling language arts without a curriculum. Language arts is one of those subject areas that you either love or you hate. I happen to love language arts, but I know a lot of people who hate it, adults and children alike. And one thing that I've noticed is that the people who seem to have the most difficulty with wanting to do language arts is the family that is choosing to do a really extensive language arts curriculum that tends to break everything up into pieces like grammar, writing, spelling, vocabulary, writing mechanics, reading comprehension, and it just ends up taking forever because they feel like they have to hit every single one of those areas, if not every day, at least several times a week. But you know what? The thing is that language arts is one of those subject areas that is so easy to complete without any curriculum at all. Now, I want to point out, though, that curriculum is not just textbooks. So when I say curriculum, I'm referring to it in the textbook aspect. You know, the area that most people tend to think of as curriculum, they think of like textbooks and workbooks. So when I say without a curriculum, that's specifically what I mean, without textbooks and without workbooks. But if you are going to be honest about the definition of curriculum, what it really means is just anything that you can use as a tool for learning. So if you look at it that way, there is nothing that your kids will be doing without a curriculum. Even kids who are unschooled have a curriculum. Life is their curriculum. The tools that they use to do the little things that they do every single day, that's their curriculum. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first of all. So I'm talking more of the formal curriculum usage, which is textbooks and workbooks. So anyway, I just wanted to give you some ideas. You know, maybe you just feel like you need to freshen up your homeschool, to breathe some new life into it with your language arts. Maybe it's just feeling really stale and you want to see if something else is going to help not only give your kids more excitement about it, but maybe you too. So here are some things that I have used in my homeschool that have really worked well for us. So first of all, Mad Libs. I don't know if you remember these from when you were a kid. They seem like they've been around forever. Mad Libs are still around. Yep, I get mine on Amazon usually. And if you see here, if you don't know what Mad Libs are, they are little stories that have words taken out of them, and then your kids have to fill in the blank parts of speech to complete the story. Now, typically you will have at least two people doing it. One person will be reading the story and telling the other person, okay, I need an adjective or I need a verb ending in ing. Because if you are looking at the story while you're doing it, it's not as much fun, because when the people don't know what the story is about and they're just giving random words, it really makes for a comical story. So just to give you a closer look, so we have here, you know, you have to add adjectives, you have to add verb ending in ing, plural noun, another adjective. If you look in some other ones, sometimes it'll ask for like the name of a person in the room. Here's part of the body, type of liquid. Sometimes it's asking for adverbs or exclamations. So, you know, this can really be a lot more fun than just doing your typical grammar book, especially for kids who are younger and who are first learning their parts of speech. Now, a second idea that I have for working language arts into your homeschool without any sort of formal curriculum is notebooking. And if you don't know what notebooking is, I'm going to leave a link in the description box to my notebooking playlist, because I have done tons of videos on notebooking. It's a huge thing in our house. Notebooking actually covers so many of the little subtopics that are beneath the language arts heading, such as, of course, writing, but notebooking also covers writing mechanics. It will also cover grammar, and yeah, things like spelling and vocabulary are also included in notebooking, because not only are your kids doing all of those things as they are writing out their papers or their notebooking pages, but since notebooking really can encompass any sort of writing, such as lists or poems or glossaries or comic strips, you can really work any type of skill that you want your kids to work on in language arts into their notebooking as well. So one of the types of notebooks that we really like to use for language arts is journaling. Now, I've talked about journaling several times, and I'll leave a link in the description box about journaling as well. But if you notice here, my daughter wrote a story in her journal, and you'll see that some of the words are circled. And that is because that particular day, I said to her, okay, now you know what you wrote in your journal? Well, today I want you to go back through it and I want you to circle all of the adjectives. And that is something that you can do with your kids in their journals. So if you look here, you'll see that they have words underlined in the journal. And that is because that day I said, all right, now today I want you to go back through your journal entry and I want you to underline all of the nouns. And so this is something that you can do with your kids in their journals. Not only are they getting in their writing with journaling, and I have to say that the more your kids write, the better they will get at it. I know a lot of people get really worried that their kids aren't going to know how to write properly. But honestly, if your kids read a lot, read some more, and if they write a lot, their writing skills are going to get better. Especially, I'm going to say it again, if they are reading a lot, because when they are reading, especially if they're reading quality books, at least some of the time, they are seeing what quality writing looks like, and hopefully that is carrying over into what they choose to write as well. So yeah, journaling can be great for not only writing, but also for helping your kids to learn the parts of speech. You can even go so far as to have them do punctuation with it. You know, tell them, okay, I want you to go back and I want you to make sure that you got every single period, or that you didn't miss any commas. And so you don't need any sort of curriculum to learn these things. Real life writing is really the best place for your kids to learn these things because it has an actual purpose, because it's something that not only have they themselves done, but it feels more personal to them when they're applying it to something that comes from them. Okay, so another form of notebooking that I really like for language arts is Copywork. And I do have a video on this as well. Now, Copywork, if you don't know what this is or what it is just when your kids copy things. Yeah, simple enough, right? But so if you see here, my daughter she copied a verse out of Genesis. And the purpose of Copywork is for your kids to copy it exactly as it is written. So if there is a quotation mark, they have to copy the quotation mark. If there is a capital letter, they have to copy the capital letter. If there is punctuation, they have to include the punctuation. Everything that is there in the passage that they are copying has to be written down on their paper. And so Copywork is actually great for teaching punctuation, because again, they are seeing how it is properly used, and if they miss it, you can go back and you can show them where it is that they missed it, or you could even have them look at the passage and say, now look on the third line down, what do you see that is missing there? So you could work punctuation to that. Again, you could work parts of speech. You could do the exact same thing that I showed you with the journal by using, underlining for nouns or circling for adjectives. So this is something that is very versatile, is Copywork. So I know that sometimes it seems like the simplest things aren't going to work, but sometimes it's the exact opposite. What seems like it is too simple, too good to be true, sometimes it really does work. All right. Now, another idea. Oh, you know what else I wanted to say about Copywork that I forgot is that Copywork is also great for spelling, because they are seeing how words are spelled correctly. Anyway, so another idea for language arts without a formal curriculum is just to work it in through your unit study activities. So for example, if you're doing a unit study on panda bears, you could write a few sentences about pandas on the board, and you could say to your kids, okay, I want you to put all of the commas where they're missing. Or I want you to show me where a question mark belongs and where a period belongs. Or you could tell them, I want you to go up there and I want you to put a squiggly line underneath the nouns. Or I want you to put a box around the adverbs. So again, you don't need like a workbook or a textbook sitting in front of your kids in order for them to be learning these things. The whiteboard is your friend. I use my whiteboard every single day. Now, when we get to the literature aspect of language arts, a lot of curriculums will have students reading excerpts of books rather than the complete books themselves. And I cannot stress to you enough how much better it is for your kids to read real books and not just pieces of them. It's hard to get into something that you know you're not going to be getting the full picture of. So yes, real books, and you don't need to have them sitting and answering question after question about them afterwards. If you've read it before, discuss it with your kids. If you're reading it with them, again, discuss it with them. You can have them narrate it to you. You can have them write a written narration afterwards. And a lot of times, if they have finished a book that has a movie that was made after it, you could have them watch the movie and maybe even write a comparison of the two. Because I think most of us know that movies and books are not always very much the same. We just found that out in Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. So yeah, it's amazing how many differences you will find between books and movies. But if your kids are able to point those differences out to you, that shows you how much they were paying attention to not only the movie, but to the book as well. Now, sometimes spelling tests seem to really get kids nervous. Some kids love spelling tests. When I was a kid, I was one of those natural spellers. I never had to study. I just knew how to spell everything. So spelling tests were not a big deal to me. But I have a few kids that when I did used to give spelling tests, I don't anymore, but when I used to give spelling tests, they would get so nervous and sometimes they would cry. And I didn't want that to happen because when kids are crying, they're obviously not going to be learning anything. So one thing that my kids really enjoyed instead was to do spelling bees. We actually, the first time that we did it, it was because we were reading one of the Little House books, and it was talking about how Charles Ingalls, I don't remember if he was a child when he did it or if he was an adult, but he entered a spelling bee, and he was in a spelling bee. And so the kids asked me, well, what's a spelling bee? And so then we decided to have one, and they had so much fun. So a spelling bee might be a fun idea for you to have your kids work on their spelling words. Now, two things that I actually used to sometimes consider busy work were search-a-words and crossword puzzles, especially search-a-words, because I was always able to see value in crossword puzzles because the kids were having to figure out which word goes there. But to me, search-a-words always seemed like busy work, like, oh, it's just something to pass the time. But I thought about it and it really isn't. Search-a-words are phenomenal to help your kids not only with concentration, but with spelling, because as they are looking for those words to circle, they are thinking in their head, okay, I'm looking for the word discussion, so I need to find D-I-S-C. And then they're looking for D-I-S-C. Oh, I found D-I-S-C. What's next? U-S-S-I-O-N. And so in that way, it really helps so much with spelling, especially if you are using a search-a-word book that is not too easy for your child. Of course, if it's something that has all words that your kids already know how to spell, then yeah, I think that might still classify as busy work. But if you're challenging your kids and giving them search-a-word books that actually have words that are a little bit above their level, it can really be a great asset to you. And you know what? The same thing goes with crossword puzzles. Crossword puzzles are not only great for spelling, but they're great for vocabulary too, because the kids are trying to puzzle out what these different definitions mean, and it's also actually a great way for them to learn synonyms as well, because sometimes there's more than one answer to one of the hints that they give you. So they're trying to puzzle through their head all these different words that mean the same thing. Right there, they're working on synonyms just through a crossword puzzle. And so the last tip that I want to give to you to working in language arts into your homeschool without a formal curriculum is through board games. You know, things like Wheel of Fortune, Scrabble, Scattergories, Pictionary. And you might be wondering, Pictionary. What do you mean Pictionary? They're drawing. Yeah, they're drawing, but they have to know what it is that they're drawing. I went to a family game night at my mom's church last year, and I played Pictionary with some other people there, and some of my kids also played. And it was funny because they were trying to figure out what some of the stuff was that they were supposed to be drawing. So it was a learning experience for them because they didn't know what everything was. So yeah, even something like Pictionary can help to expand your children's vocabulary. If you don't know what Scattergories is, that's a game where you have a dice and you roll it, and then one letter like pops up on top, say if it's S, and then they will pull a sheet of paper out and it will give them different categories. And then they have to give a word for each category that starts with S. And then there's a timer that you have to flip over. So that's actually a lot of fun too. I think most people know what Scrabble is, and I think most people know what Wheel of Fortune is. And also those are great games to work into a library, a language arts non-curriculum approach to your homeschool. Anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disabled my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.